In this video, I'm going to discuss some of the important characteristics of effective writing, especially academic writing and technical writing. So the very first tip that comes to my mind is the KISS principle. So what is the full form of KISS? The full form of KISS is keep it short and simple. So do keep in mind that your formal academic write-up should be short. It should not be very lengthy. Try to keep it very, concise and to the point. Don't beat around the bush. Try to use very simple and direct language. So the next tip for all of you is that avoid using too many jargons, technical terms and terminologies that will unnecessarily, make it very obscure and very difficult to understand. So our objective is to express, not to impress, right? The next tip for all of you is that if at all you're using abbreviations, yes, for instance, US for United States, or maybe, WHO for World Health Organization. So if at all you're using abbreviations, explain the meaning. Use the expanded form when you're using it for the very first time. Later on in the body, you can use just the abbreviated form, right? So do keep in mind this. The next thing is that try to be coherent and also consistent. Why coherency? There must be a logical progression of the thought process, right? The ideas should be connected in a very logical, rational manner. So that is coherency. So do keep in mind that your write-up should be coherent and also consistent as far as, the structure, the layout is concerned, the way you have styled your document. It should be having, it should maintain a very consistent pattern. The headings, the subheadings, if you're using a hyphen, in between two words, if words are hyphenated in one paragraph, then also in the next paragraph or maybe towards the end of the text also, if you're using the same word, use the hyphen. So if you're using capital, letter, if you're capitalizing a particular, word, then you try to maintain that throughout the text. So do keep in mind that there must be a consistency as far as, the words, the sentences, the patterns that you're using in your write-up are concerned. And also keep in mind that try to use active voice sentences as much as possible and not passive voice sentences, because active voice sentences are more direct, they're more engaging, right? And they're also considered to be more precise compared to passive voice sentences. For instance, John, wrote the technical report. John wrote the technical report. Subject plus verb plus object, right? So the subject is the doer of the action. The technical report was written by John. This is a very indirect manner of, speaking, roundabout manner. It's more lengthy, right? So passive voice sentences should be avoided as much as possible, because here the subject is affected by the action, is influenced by the action. The next important tip that comes to my mind is that try to avoid colloquial expressions in your formal write-up. Colloquial expressions means expressions that are used in your day-to-day lives. For instance, be casual, very informal. So such expressions should be avoided in your formal write-up. And the next thing is that also obscurity. That's very important. Your language should be very clear. The language that you are using it must have clarity in it. It should not be obscure. All right, it should not be vague. The meaning should not be vague. Sometimes what happens, you have written something and it can be interpreted by somebody, a particular person in one manner, another person interprets it in a different manner. So, there's a lot of ambiguity in it, double meaning in it. The meaning is vague, not clear. So try to avoid such ambiguous sentences in your write-up. The next tip that comes to my mind is that eliminate redundancies and cliches in your formal write-up. Cliches are overused expressions, right? Expressions, that have lost charm and originality. So try to avoid cliches and also eliminate redundancies, repetitious expressions like, for instance, close proximity. It's the same thing, right? Close and proximity. Meaning is same. You can use either of them. Why both? Final outcome, right? Revert back. These are all expressions which we say are redundant expressions. So eliminate such redundant expressions. And also keep in mind one very important tip. Your write-up should have a proper beginning, a proper middle, and a proper end, which means that it must have a very, proper introduction, a detailed kind of a body, yes, and a very, very neat conclusion. So do keep in mind all the important tips discussed for effective writing.